everybody. Thanks for joining us. I just want to finish off with the Ramban on chapter 1, verse 10, Perek Aleph, Pasuk Yud. If you remember yesterday, the Ramban was painting a really fascinating picture of sort of the scheming of the Egyptian government against the Jews. The last paragraph of this first Ramban, in mine, it's about 10 lines from the bottom of the first Ramban on Pasuk Yud. V'nira she'amad zeh yamim ma'atim. Ramban says this sort of phase of the surreptitious killing of the Jewish babies by the rank and file of the Egyptians, says Ramban, he doesn't think it lasted a long time. Kibuletis Aaron lo haisa gzeira. So first of all, I think we say Aaron was 3 years older than Moshe, if I'm not mistaken. When Aaron was born, there doesn't seem to be any complications when Aaron was born, so the decree didn't seem to be in effect then. Uchshenolad Moshe Nirish Nispatla. Ramban has a very interesting theory that he puts forth. He says he thinks the killing of the Jewish babies ended once Moshe was born. That it was really a relatively brief period of time. Why would it have ended once Moshe was born? Ulai bas Paro b'chemla alav amr lavi yeshlo yasakein. Maybe the daughter of Paro, who famously found this Jewish baby and saved him, maybe she convinced her father to stop the decree. Fascinating thing. O kasher nishma ki me'es hamelech niya davar biteloso. Or maybe that the king just decided to cancel it. Or like this famous medrash, that the real effect of actively killing all the Jewish babies was because the stargazers of Paro came to Paro and said, this is the big day, the savior of the Jews is going to be born today. So they did the best they could that day, and then afterwards there was no great thrust to do that. Ki hakol is chakmus aleim shelo yivad achamus. V'zet ha'mamar ha'omrim l'Moshe Rabbeinu asher vastemes reichenu lo seischerev bi'adam. This is a great point from the Ramban. At the very end of this parsha, Moshe and Aaron go into Paro and say, we want to be freed. And Paro says, obviously these people have too much time on their hands. And he says, we've got to work the Jews much harder. Moshe Rabbeinu is received very unpleasantly by Jews afterwards. And what did they say to him? That you've made our scent bad in the eyes of the Egyptians to put a sword in their hands to kill us. Now, what are you talking about? These people have been killing your babies. What do you mean? Moshe, you messed up. We were the most favored nation in Egypt, and all of a sudden they don't like us anymore. What do you mean? What are you talking about? So the Ramban says it must be that the thing about killing the Jewish babies had ended years before. Ki ata yosifu b'sinasam osanu. Now they're going to really actively act with hatred towards us. V'yimtzu tana ki anachnu mordim b'malchus v'yargu osanu b'cherev le'nei hakol. Now they say to Moshe, listen, we don't think the Egyptians particularly like us, but at least they've kept their enmity sort of below the radar. But now that we're actively saying we want out, that's giving them the opening. They'll treat us as rebels, and they'll say, you deserve to die because you're rebelling against the local government. They won't have to act with any cunning anymore. But that's the Ramban's point, that until the moment that Paro increases the decree on the Jews as a reaction to Moshe and Aaron's request, it's all behind the scenes. And it's all rooted in this one word in verse 10, nischakma. Let's be sly. Let's be cunning. Let's be smart. It's a very interesting Ramban to think about. Okay, let's jump ahead. We got a lot of ground to cover. Sorry. Chapter 2, verse 2. Vataro isha vatelet bang. This is referring to Yocheved, the mother of Moshe. She gave birth to a boy, and that boy, of course, is Moshe. Vatera oso kitovu. And she saw that he was good. Vatitzpeneu shlosha yirachim. And she hid him for 3 months. What is the pshat in that phrase? She saw that he was good. What does that mean? Ramban on Pasuk Beis. Vatera oso kitovu vatitzpeneu. And by the way, she only hid him because she thought he was good. And if she didn't think he was good, she would have said, whatever. I mean, how do you understand the pasuk? So Ramban on pasuk Beis, Yodua, ki kol anashim oavos es b'neihem. Every woman loves their child. Yafim v'she'edam yafim. The ones that are very impressive of appearance and the ones that aren't very impressive of appearance. Their children, their mothers love them anyway. V'kulana titzpeno son b'chol yichot, and women do whatever they can for their children. V'ein tzarich raya latana ki tovhu. You know, it's not like, I wonder why the mother of Moshe thought he was good. Of course she thought he was good. But obviously you have to ask yourself, why does he have to say them in Torah? It's self-evident. What it means, this goodness, she saw something uniquely good about him. She thought, this is such a unique baby. There's something about this baby that's so unique. And maybe, just maybe, if I try to save him, maybe he'll miraculously be saved. And therefore she really put her mind to leaving no stone unturned to how to keep this baby alive and safe from the Egyptians. And then she saw she couldn't hide him any longer. If you remember, we mentioned the Ramban yesterday that the Egyptians, the Egyptian citizens, were going door to door. She couldn't hide him any longer. She says to herself, maybe another plan will work. She makes this little box, of reeds for him. And she had the older sister Miriam standing from a distance that nobody see her watching, to know what happens to this. And when you think about it, just take a step back from the story for a moment. What are the odds that this is going to work? There are people looking high and low to kill the Jewish babies. I know, let's just send the baby down the river. Nobody will ever look there. And even if nobody looks, what are the odds that this baby is going to survive? I mean, this is it's borderline preposterous, but this presumably runs back to the Ramban's idea that she saw he was good. There was something special about him that she sensed, and she said to herself, I have to go the extra mile because maybe, just maybe, there'll be a miraculous salvation. Why would God bring this special child into the world if not to preserve his life? But I have to do my part. So no matter how unlikely the salvation is, I have to try anyway. Now, this, says the Ramban, really reinforces the Gemara, this famous Gemara that when he was born, the house filled up with light. Because again, the Ramban says it must be something special about him that struck her. So, wow, the house filled up with light, that's more than he has such a nice nose. In other words, and if the house filled up with light, it must be that there's going to be miracles here. Also that Miriam, his sister, had a prophecy that there'd be a child, that my mother will give birth to a child that will save the Jewish people. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it just means that she had that prophecy in mind. That I don't know if it's going to come true or not, but that means I've got to do whatever I can to save this baby. Okay, that's what the Ramban says. Kli Yakar Ram Chasik Beis. Vatero so Ketofu, she saw he was good. Shenismale Kol Abayis Ora. The whole house was filled with light, as we mentioned a moment ago. Shenemar Vayara Lokim or Ki Tov. You wonder to yourself, so where does the Medrash get it from that the house filled up with light? Were the rabbis just saying, I wonder what will be a really good sign, and just guessing? It's hard to believe. So the Kli Yakar is such a good shot, because in Bereshis, in the creation of the world, it says God saw that light was good. So now Yocheved sees that the baby was good, so we're connecting the goods. Oh, it must be something about light. So, and that's why she hid him, says the Kli Yakar, Ki Yireya Shema Yiru HaMitzrim or Ahu. Says, you know why she had to hide him right away? More than just maybe someone will hear a baby crying. because this was this remarkable light emanating from him. So I don't need the Egyptians walking by and seeing some funny light coming from our house and wondering what it is. She would have hid any child that was born to her. What would she do? Put a sign up in front of the door? Any Egyptians looking to kill Jewish boys? I've got one. What do you mean? Because she saw he was good, she hid him. So the Kli Yakar says, no, the pshat is she would have hid any baby, but this had to be a different kind of hiding. This had to be a hiding that people wouldn't even see light emanating from him. The okay. Maybe she thought that the reason he was created with light, they should tell him that maybe it's a message to her that she should hide him like God hid the original light from the creation of the world. Interesting pshat. Okay, let's go on to verse 6. So they send, Yocheved has Moshe sent down the river, and the daughter of Paro sees this little package going down the river. Vatiftach vatireu asayela. She opened it up and she saw the boy. Vine nar bochen. Behold, there's this child crying. Vatachmol alav. And she had mercy on him. Vatomer, and she said, Mialdeho Ephraim zeh. This is a Jewish child. How did she know it was a Jewish child? How did she know? Ramban on Pasuk Vav, the second Ramban on Pasuk Vav. Vatomer Mialdeho Ephraim zeh. I'm sure many of you are guessing this, but it's just nice to see it from a commentator. Nasna aliba hamasa kasher haya. She thought about what had just occurred. Ki amra levavur hatziloso oshlo yiru b'mos hayelet samuhu sham. V'ish mitzri lama yasken. Why in the world would a parent send their baby down the river? So there's only one of two reasons, presumably. Either somebody thinks that the baby will survive because they're being sent down the river, or maybe they just don't want to see the baby's death. And better the baby die somewhere down the river than in front of the parent's face. Very chilling thing to think about. And either of these rationales, who would think that way? Who would hatch that type of plan? V'ish mitzri lama yasakin. Why would the average Egyptian do anything like this? But of course, it makes perfect sense why a Jewish parent would do this. So nothing miraculous about what she saw in the child, says Ramban. It's just circumstances. V'yeshomrim, there's another Gemara that says Sharoasu Nimo, that she saw that he was a circumcised baby. The imkain esira begadav ubadko sobo. Ramban says, just think about this for a moment. So what that means is she takes one look at the baby and she says, let me remove the baby's clothing to see if he's circumcised. Maybe, but Ramban says, ain't tzorach. I don't think you have to say that. You could just say that it was just the circumstances. It would make a lot of sense for a Jewish parent to either have a desperate hope that the child would survive, or just this is better than dying in the presence of the parent. So we discussed the Ramban's perspective on how long there were overt things against the Jews for. We discussed the question of what does it mean that Yocheved saw that Moshe was good. Discussed the Ramban and Kli Yakar for that. We discussed the Ramban regarding how did the daughter of Paro know that it was a Jewish baby.